Before we get started, I have a quick favor. I've been self-funding the Finding Genius podcast for 5 years now. I've done over 3,000 episodes. And as you can see on YouTube, we're up over 1 million views on the channel, which is fantastic. The next thing I really want to push on is to get up to 10,000 subscribers. Because once we do, we'll be able to put a donate button and we'll be able to solicit donations to help keep the podcast running and to also get the Finding Genius Foundation moving along. We have a big project studying anxiety, depression, and PTSD and working on a product to help people overcome these problems because I've seen them explode recently after the last 2 years of the whole virus situation. So if you would, please subscribe to the podcast. That would help us tremendously. Give us a thumbs up and check in the description for Buy Me a Coffee. It's about $5. If you could buy me a coffee, I'd really appreciate it. It would help keep the channel going, and I love coffee. Thank you.
Forget frequently asked questions,
common sense, common knowledge, or Google.
How about advice from a real genius? 95% of people in any profession are good enough to be qualified and licensed. 5%
go above and beyond.
They become very good at what they do, but only
0.1%
are real geniuses. Richard Jacobs has made it his life's mission to find them for you. He hunts down and interviews geniuses in every field: sleep science, cancer, stem cells, ketogenic diets, and more. Here come the geniuses. This is the Finding Genius Podcast
with Richard Jacobs.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Finding Genius Podcast. My guest today is Tim Rexius. We're going to talk about how to build a multi-million-dollar brand with zero investors. Tim's a serial entrepreneur. He currently owns and operates multiple companies, so I think there's going to be a lot of great stuff to learn here. So welcome, Tim.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, tell me a bit about your entrepreneurial journey. Mine is the way I was brought up or educated was direct response. So I don't really think about branding too much, probably to my detriment. But what was your background like?
I started in the nutrition space back when I was in high school just because I wanted a discount. And tried to be a college athlete and eventually got my shot at the NFL, didn't materialize, just too many injuries. But, I found that selling was really something I had a knack for. Growing up, my mom said, your mouth is either going to get you in a lot of trouble or it's going to get you paid. And good advice, Mom, because eventually got me paid. I realized very quickly in my early 20s that I liked to be in charge. I like the pressure, as a lot of great athletes do. If you turn that same athletic drive into business, it can be a very good asset. And, I love the nutrition and health space, especially, but, I coming out of college and getting a business degree, they didn't teach you a lot about, how to start a business if you didn't have good backers, if you didn't have family to co-sign, which I didn't. And so I went into school hard knocks and I worked in the industrial chemical space for about 6.5 years. I worked on pandemic outbreaks, response, especially with West Nile virus, and all great experiences, but wasn't passionate about the industry. And when I was 29, this is going back to 2010, I was turning 30. I was just young enough and dumb enough to give up a really good paying job while I had a couple small kids at home and go for broke. And I started my first nutrition store. And you got to think this is 2010. It's Omaha, Nebraska. Complete Nutrition's based in Omaha, 300 U.S. locations, worth $100 and some million. GNC's a giant industry, billion-dollar company. And I'm like, if I can make this work with this tiny little shop, I think I might have something here. And we started in 2010. And by 2012, we had our second and third locations. And we decided to start franchising for guys who kind of saw things the way that I did. I wanted a store or a business that could help people, that fix problems. Just different. Not about the money. The money will come, but let's focus on the customer first. Let's give internet, this is 13, 14, 15 years ago where everyone looked at the internet as the enemy, and I looked at it as, okay, like there's a blend here. We can get that pricing and availability that people want online, but we can give them that customer service and that knowledge that you only get in retail. And let's see if we can't merge the two together. And it did. And a lot of it, you talk about brand, was just me getting out in the public. When it comes to trying to build a business without marketing dollars, because I didn't have any, but I knew that I had the ability to sell and make relationships and make impactful relationships very quickly. So I would go to 2 or 3 different gyms a day before and after my shifts at my own store and literally make friends with every single person at every single gym. And And a personal relationship, a handshake and a good smile and an ability to make an impact is worth more than any amount of money you can spend on marketing, which is where I think a lot of businesses right now screw up. they put way too much stock into investor marketing, investor funding, the influencer relationship when it's not necessary.
I don't even know if it's also the depersonalization. Yeah, I don't want to go download not you, but I don't want to go download an app from whatever store. I've got a billion of them. I don't want to go find it myself or do it myself. I don't want to. I want help. I want people.
Exactly. And to this day, it's still how we operate all the companies is that, this is us, this is transparent, this is who we are. And now social media is a reflection of that, allows us to scale new businesses very quickly because we spent a lot of time, building ourselves up in the beginning when we didn't have money to put on radio and TV. We didn't have money to send out, $50,000 worth of mailers or, now if you're starting a business, you don't have that $100,000 to hire, the super famous person to represent your brand. It can all be done micro level. And to this day, that's pretty much how the old guerrilla marketing is. It's micro influencer marketing. It's just done in a in-person basis, getting to meet everybody. And I got to know every trainer in Omaha, every gym owner, every person working out. And I'm like, hey, maybe I can help you out, and just giving it all away for free. And literally every piece of advice, all my expertise was given away for free. And I do it on the internet to this day. I still just give it all away for free and figure it'll all come back around. And so far I've been...
How did it come back around to you in the gym?
At the end of the day, when I met people in the gym and I'm like, we would chat, whatever, they'd ask a piece of advice. And honestly, after going to the gym 3 times a day, every day for about 3 years, I got in really good shape, just trying to meet people. And people were like, how are you doing this? I was in my 30s and I said, this is what I'm doing. This is the diet stuff. Hey, stop in the store sometime, when we're not interrupting your workout, and I'll help you, make a basic diet plan, or we'll talk about supplementation. Like what's the basics for your genetics? Like maybe here's where, I had a lot of buddies of mine who were super thin, could never put on size. Well, hey, that guy have tricks for that. Or, hey, I'm a ectomorphic and I have trouble losing weight. And like, hey, well, why don't you come in the shop? Let's put it down on a paper and let's see where your calories are at. Let's see if there isn't a lever I can pull to help you get into that suit or that dress for that wedding or that reunion or whatever it might be. And, slowly but surely you start fixing problems for people and they're going to tell everybody. And at the end of the day, people want that personal relationship. They want to know when they're going into a business that they're going to do business with somebody that knows somebody that recommends and highly recommends or refers you. And honestly, the Rexius empire on nutrition was built on personal recommendations and referrals, 100%. And right now we're locations in 7 states. I've sold all the stores except for the original to my staff and turned them all into franchises, and I help coach more now, but it's still based on that premise is, hey, nothing will ever beat guerrilla marketing. I don't care, especially when doing the help.
How do you go from the shaking hands, nice to see you in person and all that stuff to getting paid? How do you bridge that gap?
Well, I mean, when the first company was pretty easy because I'm like, hey, come in the store. Let me show you what I got. Let me help you out. And sometimes it was, I have one gal, for instance, she came in the store my first year, and this is 2010. So I didn't have a lot of business yet. It was very slow, but slowly but surely built. And she was extremely overweight, probably 350 pounds. And she had Crohn's disease. And, she had an issue consuming food. And so she would eat a lot of calorically dense foods, which usually are unhealthy. But she's just trying to get nutrients in her body. And I had told her about a study I had read overseas that slow dose nicotine dosing actually, be like a nicotine patch or chewable gum. And now there's a lot of research on this, right now for women that are perimenopausal. There's a lot of benefits to nicotine itself. It's usually the form that nicotine comes in that's the problem. But I digress. Back then, there wasn't a lot of research, but there was some overseas that I said, hey, if you slow dose nicotine consumption, like through Nicorette gum or nicotine patch, it will reduce the inflammation on your lower abdominal blood vessels and will reduce the pressure that you're having with Crohn's. And you may find it easier to consume, healthier foods. And also adding in some chromium picolinate to balance her blood sugar and a little Garcinia cambogia to help with, appetite cravings, and just about $20 worth of a sale on my store is all it was. And lo and behold, it was like 2 years later, and I'll never forget this. She walks in, she couldn't be 160 pounds. She lost 200 pounds probably. She was crying. I didn't even recognize her. And she announced and she told me who she was and how I changed things for her. And that lady single-handedly has probably sent me $50,000 in referral business in the last 10 years. Now, multiply that lady times about 500 people I've done this for over the past decade and a half. It's pretty easy to build a multi-million-dollar empire when you are known for solving people's problems. And so I look at it from an aspect of like, all right, what's the best way to solve this problem? How can I help do it? Sometimes it doesn't produce me a lot of money, and sometimes it doesn't produce me any money at all. But people know what I do for a living. So when they have their neighbor, and their kid wants to gain some weight for football, they go, hey, go see this guy, Rexius, over at this shop. Just tell him I sent you. He's 100% a trustworthy guy. He will look out for your kid's best interest. So much so now that I get asked to speak at all the local high schools, usually 2 or 3 times a year. I'm the invited speaker because I put my customers' goal first above my income. And if you do that enough, there's a lot of people out there. It's not that hard to make a profit when you're doing it right, when you're doing it correctly. And there's been customers that have come in before where they had a fitness coach that had them on a whole list of things. And I've looked at it and said, can I be very honest with you? And they said, yeah. I go, I think you're taking way too much. I don't think this is probably, just based on my multiple decades of experience, this is probably not right. And usually you find out it's a fitness coach who doesn't have, the resume to be recommending. They're just trying to throw stuff at it to get paid. And there's sometimes where I tell them, like, listen, don't buy this much. I don't think you need to. Let's do one thing at a time. Let's see how the body adapts to it. Let's see how we feel. And then we'll adjust as we go. And by just being that transparent, honest, that's how you build an empire. It isn't, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And a lot of the entrepreneurs, when I do a lot of my keynote speaking now, do a lot of business groups and entrepreneurship conferences, is that people want that sprint type cash. But, Rome wasn't built in a day. Not saying you can't make money quick. I'm just saying that a lot of good empires were not built on a get rich quick scheme. Fast forward to say like 2017, 7 years in the process. At that point, I think we had probably 22 locations, half of them franchises, half of them corporate stores. And I got the opportunity to enter the fitness, the gym business. And now we own Iron Heaven Gyms with our business partners. We have 3 large facilities here in the Omaha metro, and it's a different type of business. It's membership driven. But how that started was I was prepping for a bodybuilding show. I decided to start bodybuilding, actually doing shows. And I got kicked out of the local health club, the big chain here. They said I was intimidating other guests, which is simply not true. Yeah. I mean, I was in shape, don't get me wrong, but I talk more than I lift. I'm a salesman. It was more or less that gym knows that I'm the king of supplements, nutrition for the Omaha metro, and they wanted to start selling a lot of supplements, and so they found an excuse to kick me out and ban me.
You should be the poster child for it. They're talking.
Exactly, but they wanted to
imagine you posing and be like, and my biceps, look at this, intimidating them. Here's the pictures.
I would go in the upstairs classroom at night. I kid you not, like when no one was there after because I have 6 kids, so I'm running all these companies while having a family, so I wouldn't go to do my posing until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night when no one was in the gym anyways, and I would do it upstairs in a private classroom because I don't want anybody to see me. And that was the whole, you're intimidating other guests. And I'm like, Karen, I'm the only one here. And they
just read by you.
They were, and they wanted to sell supplements. And so, 2 weeks after I won the LA Open when I was 38 years old, we came back and we put our signed the lease on our first gym building. And 3 years, here it is 8 years later, we have 3 large facilities, and it's a multi-million-dollar fitness gym empire that we're building here. We're our own software, and heck, our first location, we've decided to really just corner in on our niche, where we don't have contracts, and we have 2 posing rooms. We have the largest sauna pretty much ever built in the Midwest. We are now adding a hormone therapy peptide clinic inside the gym. We actually have a barber shop inside the gym, tanning, taking look good, feel good to a whole new level. And the whole business was just based on, okay, like, what do we hate about other gyms? We hate contracts because we don't want to be bill collectors. Check. We want 24-hour access. Okay, check. It'd be nice if you could sign up online and not have to talk to a salesman. Okay, check. We did all those things. And just based on our love of the business and all the things that annoy us about the ones that we were paying, we did exactly the opposite and built it for us, and found out that, by being in our niche, that there are a lot of people like us. And I guess that's the biggest lesson in business I can give a lot of the entrepreneurs is stop trying to be everybody's everything and start being somebody's something.
What did you notice about the behavior of the people that came to the gym?
You know, that honestly, that it's kind of a reputation that we got. It's the culture around the gyms that really made us who we are, that they know that these are family-run businesses, that, you know, this isn't corporate Globo gym or whatever you want to call it. That's my dodgeball reference there. And, you know, that you're held responsible here, you know, and it's you have to clean up after yourself, that this is a family. Don't destroy the business. Don't break things, that, you know, we stuck to our guns. Like, we can't be everybody's everything. So we don't have a daycare. I have 6 kids. I love my kids. I go to the gym to get away from my kids. I'm not going to have a spa. I'm not going to have a pool. We're going to do what we do. We're going to have the best equipment you've ever seen. All of our weights, our dumbbells, they're real iron. We will be back to high school, back when you were training, you hear those plates, you know, clank and bang together. We like that, you know, and if you want to drop heavy weight, go ahead and drop it. That means you're doing something. And if somebody's like, I don't like the loud sounds, and I will say, hey, I understand that. You know, I think that Planet Fitness or the YMCA or one of these other great organizations that, I mean, I have no problem with it. You know, maybe that's a better environment for you. We're not going to cater to you. We're going to cater to our culture, and we're not going to be a fit. I mean, everyone's welcome. It just may not be for everybody, you know, and we're going to let you sign up online. And if you want to cancel your membership, just drop us an email. You don't even have to come in. It's fine. Like, we want people who want to be here. And by doing that, you would think it'd be all these bodybuilders, which we have a lot of them, but, you know, we have a lot of people in their 70s and 80s that train here. They like it. They like the serious atmosphere. They don't like the gyms where kids are running around amok, and, you know, they like the higher quality equipment, and they like watching other people really push themselves because it makes you raise your game and train harder. I mean, are you going to the gym just so you feel?
Yeah, as a Lululemon gym.
No, we are not. No, you're
the skinniest outfits ever.
Yeah, you know, and it's one of those, it really raises your game, because if you're in there just to get a quick little pub workout in, you will find yourself pushing yourself to your limits because everyone else around you is doing the same. And I have so many people that have moved away to other states, and they're like, please franchise Iron Heaven or license it. And I'm not saying we haven't toyed around with the idea. We're just not doing that right now. But they say they just don't find themselves pushing themselves as hard as they do here. And that's an awesome thing for us to hang our hat on, that people get the best work out of their life here, not because we're making them, it's because they want to. And it's just fun. Like, we have in the original location, the Stonegate gym, there's actually a Volkswagen inside the gym hooked to a strongman deadlift. And if you deadlift the car, you can autograph the car. Now, it's my daughter's Volkswagen. They blew up beyond recognition, and now I found a way to write it off on my taxes, which makes me very happy, since I was not happy when they blew it up. But, you know, one of the guys who trains here used to be on World's Strongest Man. He donated his stuff to us, and we're like, cool. Now, can very many people lift it? No. But do all the people try to? Yes. Everybody else asked me as an owner, you ever lifted that thing? I go, no, I haven't done that. I'm too old for that. But it is cool. There's no option. There's no limit to whatever option you want to train here. You do it. If you're going to do something hard, you do something crazy, you do it at Iron Heaven gyms. And it's just, now, could we cave in and do what these other gyms do to increase our profits exponentially? Yes, we could. But we created this business out of the love that we all had for training. And, you know, we're good. You know, and the simple fact is we're still making a couple $1 million a year. So yeah, could I make probably $5 more million a year by caving in? I could, but we're trying to build an empire here that we can pass down to our kids. And we don't do that by just trying to get rich. And
I've seen, like, on Shark Tank, people will talk about their brand, and it always strikes me. So you don't have a brand. A brand is when it's like the sum total of all the customer interactions with your business. This is just my definition. So, I mean, people, it's weird that people talk about their brand. No one knows who they are. No one cares who they are. And they're like all focused on it. It's so weird and not, again, the customer experience.
Oh, and then that's just it, you know, and then I hear this a lot, especially from the 20-something entrepreneurs. I get them in the 30s too. Now I'm in my mid 40s. So I have enough decades of experience that I was running businesses before the internet was relevant. And then TV and radio was king. And then now it's influencer marketing. And I'm doing that with one of our other larger brands right now. And I'm running it differently though. I'm running it the way I want to run it. And it's not the way that, you know, everyone says to do it, but it's working, you know, and it's the big one that we're doing now is the Omaha Protein Popcorn Company. And that's the biggest company that we own, bar none. And what people don't realize is that I just started running ads probably 90 days ago. But what people don't realize is that we're already in 14 countries. And I did this literally through meeting people the traditional way and building the perfection of the brand before I decided to build it on marketing. And, I did this with all of our own money, and it started in the kitchen with my wife and I in 2017.
Well, how do you define brand? Like, what does that mean? Before you did marketing, you built the brand. What does that mean?
I built the integrity of the product itself. And let's put it this way. So I own a protein popcorn, Omaha protein popcorn. Now, a new one just launched about 6-7 months ago that's sponsored by one of the Kardashians called Cloud. And they saw the popularity of this particular type of protein snack rising, but they didn't do the research. And it's, the reviews have not been great on it. And from a food science aspect, it's very inferior to what I'm making. Now, I wish them the best of luck. And they launched in Target right away because they have a Kardashian. And that's great. What I did was I spent the first 5 years perfecting the formula, perfecting the packaging, perfecting the boxing, the size. I mean, we went to like 5 or 6 different size changes. We went through 6 or 7 different packaging changes. God, probably a dozen design changes, dealing with retailers around the area. Now, how did this start? Because of my personal brand, if you want to call it, it's just my name. People who knew me from the nutrition stores in the gym space and that I know throughout the country who follow me on social media. I'm like, hey, I'm starting this protein popcorn. You guys want to carry it? They're like, sure. I send out some free samples. They like it. And then I get feedback. And the big difference is I'm not egotistical. If I have a retailer in New Jersey or in Ohio or Texas that has a piece of advice, I want to hear it because, 10 heads are better than one. And I get that's probably the smartest thing I've ever done in all the businesses is that I don't care if you're 16, 17 years old or 67. If you've got a piece of advice, I'd like to hear it. And I'll take it for what it is because, like in my own house, I haven't gone grocery shopping in 8 years. And the first couple of years of the business, I was building a brand around the Omaha popcorn and the design based on what I thought looked cool when I don't shop. It was really stupid, to be honest with you. And I wasted a lot of my personal money marketing to guys like me. And most guys like me don't do any shopping. Ever.
Like Lou, you just want to get in and out.
Yeah, I'm just in and out and I buy everything in bulk and I like what I like. I mean, it's I've used the same kind of toothpaste and mouthwash for probably 15 years. Because why? Because it works. That's just not me.
I just use soap for my hair and body, and my daughters are horrified. Dad, you need to use it. I'm fine. Soap's good.
Oh, and that's just it. When I have 6 kids spanning between ages of 6 and 25, 3 girls and 3 boys, I have the ultimate test market sitting in my house. And so the first we developed the caramel corn and the white cheddar was testing it on our kids. If you can get 6 kids to agree on something that it tastes good, you have a winner. And so the reason we went through 600 batches of the original caramel corn was trying to find one where the temperature, the protein didn't degrade, that it wasn't tacky, but it was still crunchy, that it was this, that, and the other thing. Would the kids eat it? Would they not eat it? Could I test it on my brothers who are doctors and have them not know and get some sort of judgy look? And we did all these things. And so we got the product. Product's great. And so much so that my daughters, who God love them dearly, are very judgy. So what I did was our original white cheddar was I emptied a big bag of Smart Pop white cheddar, which was my oldest daughter's favorite. I emptied it. I filled it with ours. I resealed it with a hair straightener. I left it on the counter. That they thought they were eating something else. And I could get an honest response, not one that was generated by me, but this is even better than usual. And I'm like, yes. And they're like, why? I'm like, because that's mine. And they didn't even know. And, in most brands right now, they're launching, especially in the snack space, which is a huge mergers and, an M&A mergers and acquisition space right now, are doing it based on marketing and not on the product itself. And
How do you? I've heard plenty of stories of people that not did exactly what you did, but they were perfectionists. And they got stuck. They never went anywhere. So what's unique about you is how do you bridge that gap, doing all the background work you did and then getting it into market?
Because you have to identify your avatar, right? As they say, and I hate that term, but every single conference I go to, that's what the term, right? So I identified my avatar is I made the macronutrients in these products perfected for an athlete, for the guys who I've used to coach, is if they were going to have a cheat meal, post-workout, these guys would cheat so bad on a weekend, they gained 20 pounds. And so I'm like, okay, let's make a snack that will meet the macronutrient deficiencies I need them to eat after a workout or a pre-workout. So technically my cheddars are a pre-workout and my candy coat flavors are a post-workout. And that's great. And so I went to the Mr. Olympia, dropped 10 grand, had a booth, was a hit, right? Nope. I mean, everybody loved it there, but I realized bodybuilders are broke and they don't buy anything. And so that's why I said I marketed it wrong. I completely made every mistake in the book. And I started realizing that, okay, like that's a very sub-specific niche. It's a very small percentage of the population. What areas of our society are lacking in protein intake? Well, kids, basic general population, and people, especially 30s and 40s who just got out of shape, and the elderly. And popcorn is the number one confectionery snack item in the world in literally every country. And so if I can make the popcorn, the protein completely flavorless, and I can perfect the formula to the point that nobody realizes they're eating a healthy snack, I might have a winner. Now, did I make it perfect? No, that's where I ended. I wanted a snack that was perfect enough for the average person to enjoy, actually want to eat, and actually increase their protein intake with an actual high quality protein, where most protein snacks use the lowest of low grade protein on the planet that there is, because they're trying to make money. And I decided to go opposite. I want to make it as high quality as I can without looking for perfection, because perfection literally is unobtainable if you want it to taste good. So let's find the perfect blend of all that together that I'm satisfied with from a nutritional standpoint, but also that my 6-year-old would actually eat. And we found this nice marriage in between the two, no high fructose corn syrup, gluten-free, non-GMO, way high hydroxylate protein that's lactose-free, that I can check all the boxes. And I was able to find that perfect marriage. I see a lot of guys in the protein snack space trying to appeal to that 5%. So 5% of the population are people who are like purely health dedicated. They're also the judgiest percentage of the population. I know, because I was part of that percentage. And I was looking to get my parents more protein. How do I get my brothers who maybe aren't into fitness into eating something that's better for them? How can I create a snack for my sister-in-law that had gestational diabetes that she could actually eat? Okay, that she would give her protein that would be good for the baby. Let me just go down that rabbit hole, because those are the vast majority of the people around me in my life are people who don't consider themselves, quote unquote, gym rats. How do I get them a snack that's actually good? And that was my avatar. And it took until about 2022 when I became the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and Hy-Vee Foods grocery store was in my chamber. And this was still under the old packaging, when I was still kind of fighting myself on the snack is good, but God, it's just not going anywhere. The few nutrition stores and gyms, and Hy-Vee Foods was like, hey, let us sell the popcorn. And I told them, I'm like, it's not going to work. So I said, let's do it on a consignment deal. So we put it in one location, and that one Hy-Vee outsold all of my own Rexius stores 50-1 in a month. And what it turned out, it was great, right? So I sent my daughter down there, who is not a gym rat. And I said, hey, tell me what's going on. And she goes, grandmas are buying like 6 or 7 bags of the popcorn at a shot. So I drive down there. I talked to the nutritionist at Hy-Vee Foods, and she said they have actual nutritionists inside the Hy-Vee grocery stores that help, especially with the elderly patients, with their diets and their nutrition. And she said it was the only snack she could get her Silver Sneakers customers, her clients or whatever, to actually eat, want to eat, and repetitively buy. They'll buy the shakes because they're forced to, but they'll never drink them. Half of them have dentures, so they can't eat the protein bars. And most of the protein snacks taste so horrible that they won't eat them unless they're forced to. Where the popcorn, these people would put down a bag like it was their job. And I'm like, okay. So I had my daughters and my wife. I don't know. You have daughters, you said?
Yeah, 2 daughters, 1 son. Yep.
How old are your daughters?
20 and 16.
All right, so you're going to get this, all right, because my daughters are 25, 19, and 17. And my wife, for instance, too. My wife is the smartest person I know, but the amount of TikTok and Instagram and Amazon packages that end up my house between those women is, bro, it's insane.
And literally every 2 months, you got to clean out the garage of hundreds of boxes, right?
Oh my God, I'm taking truckloads, my friend. And so I had my daughters and my wife. I go, all right, you guys design the package. We changed the name. It was Optimal Performance Popcorn to Omaha Protein Popcorn. They designed a mascot, a flexing popcorn kernel, pretty colors, color schemes that are, associated with the particular flavor, because we have 8 flavors, rebranded the whole thing, custom boxed, rebranded the boxes. They needed to be white with the blue colors, and the bags need to be see-through. And I agree, which cost a lot of money because, most people's impression is, well, look at most of your protein snacks. Can you tell me one out there that's actually clear? Because there aren't any. They're all in foil bags. And the number one impression from the average Gen population is when they buy a healthy snack that it's going to come out looking green and it's going to smell like gym sock. And so I wanted to receive it. It looked like actual popcorn. It looked exactly like what they thought they were buying. And so we went through this whole process and really relaunched it. And pretty much about the beginning of 2023. And in the last 24 months, we're up about 16,000%. And distribution got into 14 countries. We're in about 6,000 retailers in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Bermuda, Guam, Colombia, Mexico, UK, Ireland, Belgium, and we haven't even marketed the thing yet. But, because of my associations in the bodybuilding community that I've been building since I started Rexius Nutrition 15 years ago, I've met a lot of people online and at, bodybuilding shows or conventions. And in the end of the day, like I said in the beginning, it comes down to your ability to cultivate relationships and make an impact. And so everywhere I go, I have my business cards, I meet people, I shake hands. I'm like, hey, let me follow you on Instagram. Let me follow you on Facebook. I don't do TikTok, but cool. My daughters do. And so all these people I've met in New Zealand and Australia and in Canada and Mexico, I follow them and you got to put your 2 cents in, take 20 minutes a day and go on your social media and all those people that you've met that you follow, go like their post, make a comment, take 5 seconds out of your day and say, hey, you look great. Hey, that's awesome. Congrats.
That's unusual. Yeah, because usually the conversation is follow me, watch me, give your attention to me. So
it's the other.
See where you go first.
Yeah. That's just it. I go first. And the next thing you know, I get this following on my stuff. And so when I put up, hey, this is the new protein popcorn, I'm putting it on LinkedIn, Facebook, all of a sudden I've got a store in Australia. Hey, can we carry this? Yeah, let's figure it out. So now they're distributing, and then Canada, same thing. In the UK, same thing. And all of a sudden I'm like, fast forward, we've got this monstrosity that's growing. So we started doing some marketing. We just hired a marketing company and we're bringing on a few investors for the popcorn because the marketing spend is not something that I've ever focused on. And all of a sudden we started out like, hey, do you want a PR box? Are you a wannabe influencer? Right? We started this in April, and this is how you can do influencer marketing with no money. This is the trick. Everyone write this down. I put it out there. Hey, would you like to get a free box of popcorn and share us on social media? We made the rules that, here, you got to allow us to white label it. So if it goes really well, we can repost it. You have to share it at least 3 times on, these platforms and tag, me personally, my wife personally, and the Omaha Protein Popcorn Company, and say something nice about it. That's it. And we got flooded with, probably 200 requests, and some of them had as small as 1,000 followers, some of them up to, 20,000. So we sent them out. And we start getting tagged about every 5 seconds by all these people being like, hey, thank you so much. This is my first PR box. I've never had one before. And I'm like, awesome, thanks. And the next thing you know, we started getting more requests off our website. And the next batch of people requesting had 50,000 followers and 100,000 followers. And this one guy had 200,000 followers on Instagram. And he's like, can I get a box? I'm like, sure. And he shares it and tags me. And he goes, hey, do you guys have a TikTok yet? I'm like, no, I hate TikTok. He goes, well, learn to like. I go, why? It's because I have 200,000 followers on Instagram, but I have 1.4 million on TikTok. Oh, so I go over there, I look at his TikTok. Okay, guys, let's make a TikTok page. I'm like, hey, can I send you another box? And now that we have a TikTok account, can you tag us? Sure. And I think yesterday we sent out 10 boxes, and the smallest following somebody had was 800,000 on Instagram and 1.5 million on TikTok. And it doesn't cost me anything. I don't pay them a dime. I just give them a box of popcorn.
Hey, really cool. I mean, even it's just odd because there's something about you that I guess makes people want to help, because I've even seen people that give away stuff and here's this, here's that, whatever. And just, I guess they're missing that earnestness because they don't get that kind of response that I've ever heard. But you do,
It's authenticity, and I truly believe that, even by what you put out on social media, and I say this to the high schools and the universities when I guest speak, and I see that it was this trend here the last 2 years where these kids go and delete all their old pictures off their Instagram or their TikTok or their Facebook. So it's only the prettiest things that they do. And we don't do that. I don't have the time to go back and delete old pictures back when I was fat. And it's part of my story. You're part of your story is your ups and your downs. And by being fully honest and transparent, here's who we are. This is what we do. This is us. That just makes it earnest. And the thing is, when people share it, we pop in a message like, hey, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you sharing this. And the amount of, I probably have 5 dozen messages messages back from people like, wow, this is from people even with 1 million followers. You're the first brand to ever reply back and say thank you. Quite literally. Well, and I've said this in my stores to when I'm training new franchisees or new staff. I said, guys, a sincere thank you and a piece of gratitude. It's not outdated. It goes a long ways, and people don't do it. And it just boggles my mind. And not some AI bot. I mean, actually you saying, hey, this is Tim, I'm the owner. I just wanted to take a second to say thank you. I appreciate you guys posting it. It means a lot to our family business. And some people are like, God, with all that you do, you're taking the time. Like, yeah, I mean, it's like nothing else. If I can take 30 minutes to get a workout in, I think I could take 30 minutes to pop on my social media and say a sincere thank you to people. It's not really cool. It's just work like anything else. It's just something you got to do and you got to dedicate some time to. And people can build it. You know, I was the guest speaker last year. I do a lot of keynote speaking, and the American Aronia Berry Farmers Association had me out to speak to their national convention. And of course, the PowerPoint didn't work. Their system was shut down. And I'm like, listen, I don't even need a microphone. Let's just talk. And there's all these farmers wanting to know how to make the Aronia berry, a relevant thing. And I kind of walked through this process of like, hey, there are ways to get your stuff out online. There are services you can pay to like put, or you can hire influencers for $20 and say, hey, like, this is why I'm passionate about this. And you can interview them. And there's joinbrands.com or Pearpop. There's a bunch of them. Let's say, if you don't have a personal social following and you want to start that, you can do that with your brand, and you can look at what they post. And then they ask me like, well, how do you pick somebody, to send a box of product to promote it? I said, I look at what else they posted. Do they look like a good person? I care more about that.
How often do you send a box of stuff to somebody and you hear no response? Like you get the rude treatment back?
Not that often. I'd say maybe 5% of the time. I mean, we sent out 100 boxes, and I think I had 100 boxes. That first 150 boxes, I had one person put up a bad review. And of course, the problem is I focus on that probably too much. It twerked me. It tweaked me off. And I found out it's because they were also because I didn't pay them. They were being paid by the other competitor that launched a protein popcorn to say how great theirs was. And so I realized I kind of got set up, and it did upset me, but I just let it go. And at the end of the day, I can't waste, King ISO, the rapper. He was actually on my podcast back when I had one. A really intelligent gentleman. And, he told me, I asked him like, because he's got way more followers than I do. And I said, like, how do you deal with the negativity? He goes, I delete and block. I go, seriously? I heard that, that screws up the algorithm. He goes, yep, you'll get less discovery on social media by deleting and blocking the negative people because they want drama. They want that trending post. He goes, but if you let the negative people suck that positive energy out of you, he goes, he'll kill you. And so that's kind of been my thing. I think out of every 1,000 comments, I'll have one negative one. And I am the person that will be addicted to that negative comment and allow it to infect me and affect me. So we delete it and block it. I'm not going to spend even one iota of a second of the time I have left on this planet dealing with negative people. So I'm not going to deal with it. I ignore it, and you have to. I mean, there's just too many people out there that are just perpetually negative, and you can't let them take your energy.
Well, I wanted to ask you a story that, is kind of funny. And from your positioning as a branding expert, I wanted to see what you thought of it. I was in a Whole Foods, and this company had like this weird cashew yogurt, and they had their baby with them. The baby was like, I don't know, 6 or 8 months old. It was wearing a hat. It was very cute. And I saw these like old ladies lining up, and I watched them taste the yogurt, and they were like, rah, but then they wanted to hold the baby. And as soon as the baby got tired and left, like the line evaporated and no one came to see them. So I told my kids, I said, they should have a company called Rent a Baby, where like the babies are the brand ambassadors. They go to these events. My mom's there, and, people cuckoo over the baby, and you get them, to come try your stuff. And my kids were like, Dad, that's horrible. No one would ever do that. I just wanted to tell you the story and see what you thought. It's a brand play.
Well, honestly, it's funny. So my youngest is 6 and my second youngest is 12. And I can remember how many bodybuilding shows I dragged my kids to where we had a booth, and my second youngest was probably 4 or 5 at the time, and he was sampling out protein cookies or whatever the store was selling at the time. And he's one of my natural born salesman, right? And he would just, and I never told him what to say, but he'd be like, will you please try a cookie? And he'd have that, those big puppy dog ears or eyes, and they looked at me, that's cheap. I'm like, hey, I didn't tell him to say it. And they would try it and they'd be like, that's pretty good, And so part of my brand, if you want to call it that, for all the companies is the story of all of it. It's all the kids. It's our whole family. It's our whole dynamic. And it does work. I mean, half our video shoots were with, our youngest climbing in boxes, Omaha protein popcorn and throwing it everywhere. And I think it brought the realness of a family brand to us, which I think made it more likable. And, it's I'll tell you right now, my 6-year-old is the pickiest eater I have. He is such a pain. It's probably because I'm older and he's our youngest, so we babied him. But the only form of protein this kid gets in, other than chicken or dino nuggies and chocolate milk, is the protein popcorn. I quite literally am not kidding you. And without it, I don't know, the kid might be tiny. But it was funny, my sister-in-law, right, bringing up babies, like she love her dearly. But I don't think she was a huge fan of like a lot of the nutraceutical stuff, but she got gestational diabetes. And at the hospital, they gave her a bag of the Omaha protein popcorn white cheddar. I didn't even know the hospital was buying it, but they were posting it out to the women for nursing moms or women with gestational diabetes. And she, so my sister-in-law became a huge fan of the brand. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're selling it to about 200 hospitals in the U.S. Just because of that. And for me, that's huge, but it's nice being able to have a healthy snack that people enjoy and the kids like. And, but no, I've used my kids, not in the used, I guess that's a terrible term to use, but, they're part of the brand and my kids run the booths and they come to the shows. And part of it's the family business. They got to earn their keep too. And
they're learning a lot of great stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun, but I've had it before. Same thing you said. They're my kid, like, hey, can I borrow your kids for an event? I'm like, no.
That is random baby will never see the light of day.
Yeah, maybe not, but I don't know. I think people would pay for it.
Oh, very cool. So, you speak, you do a lot of you do any one-on-one teaching, or do you have courses, or you're just, by running your companies, that's your example, is like, here's what I do, how I do it.
I've done both, Timothy D. Rexius Business Consulting and Coaching off timrexius.com. Like I've done some one-on-one coaching. I'm pretty selective with it. I actually just, right now, I don't have any clients right now. I actually just, we ended the contract with 2 of my last one-on-one coaching, just because my goal with the one-on-one coaching is to get you to a place where you don't need me. And I was telling them like, hey, 3 to 6 months, maybe a year max. And after that, if you can't go be on your own, I haven't done my job.
That's true.
So I'm pretty selective with it just because I work and travel so much, and the popcorn company's got me traveling an intense amount. And I mean, we just started booking podcasts like yours here. And within a week, I'm booked on almost 60 podcasts in like 95 days. They were podcast PR company, so they never had that many. But I think a lot of it's back to the kids, is that most of the guys in my position don't have big families. And most of the big entrepreneurs out there, if you look at them, that do a lot of the public speaking, don't have kids, and nothing wrong with that. My story's a little bit different. I think a lot of people want to know, how do you run these businesses while trying to be a successful husband and father? And, it takes dedication and time. And so the one-on-one coaching portion of it, I keep pretty selective, and it's an interview process of I'm interviewing you while you're interviewing me. And, if it makes sense and I can add some value to your life, and, we get some pretty set ground rules. And I've had guys before that I've fired clients because I'm like, hey, I'm going to give you this advice. Whether or not you want to use it's up to you. But, you came to me for a reason, and I do know how to make money, and I'm good at it. And I do know how to identify weaknesses and strengths. And it's, if you're not going to listen, then, as much as I like money, I don't need to hear myself.
The hard area.
We do, and so, yeah, we do a lot of it. A lot of it comes down to keynote speaking lately and doing the big speeches, because I can get at 100 or 200 people up to, my biggest one's been 10,000, where I can talk to a lot of people at once and hopefully make a big impact for a lot of people. And, and those are fun. And a lot of them I do for free. I get paid by some of the companies to come in, obviously, which I always like that. But, I volunteer at about 30 to 40 high school, college speeches on probably every other year. And because, when I came out of college, I realized I spent 4 years on a degree, and they didn't teach me anything about how to raise money, how to get, venture capital or angel investors, or how to do alternative financing measures if you don't have a rich family. And I spent a lot of time working and grinding and going broke, trying to figure out all the lessons I didn't learn with the degree. So,
great. Well, very good, Tim. What's the best way for people to just see more of what you do? Observe for what you're doing in your different companies and brands, and learn from you.
If you go to timrexius.com, that's TIMREXIUS.com, that leads to all the social medias. It leads to all of the companies: Iron Heaven Gyms, Rexius Nutrition, Protein Popcorn Company, Vital Health International, and then obviously my speaking engagements or coaching. It all comes off that website. Otherwise, it's Timothy D. Rexius on Instagram. I'm probably most active on Instagram. I am working on TikTok as much as I don't want to. And But yeah, that's the easiest way to follow me and ask questions, and if you message in or DM in or send an email in, my assistant Alejandra, she's pretty much one of my adopted daughters. She'll if I don't get to, she gets to it. She doesn't let anything past her, and she makes sure that I get back. She knows that I was at that point at one point where all I needed was somebody that had already done it to answer a question. And so I do my best to try to keep up with all of them as much as I can. And I got a great staff. I have a phenomenal team around me to help, keep up with all the influx. And, at the end of the day, for me, it's fun to be able to pay back the advice I've gotten from some of the heroes I've had. So it's the least I can do. So just reach out. And if I can help, I will.
Okay, excellent. Well, Tim, thanks so much for you being you and genuine and coming on the podcast and just telling everyone literally step by step exactly what you do. Nothing hid.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
If you like this podcast, please click the link in the description to subscribe and review us on iTunes.
You've been listening to the Finding Genius podcast with Richard Jacobs. If you like what you hear, be sure to review and subscribe to the Finding Genius podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. And want to be smarter than everybody else? Become a premium member at findinggeniuspodcast.com. This podcast is for information only. No advice of any kind is being given. Any action you take or don't take as a result of listening is your sole responsibility. Consult professionals when advice is needed.